hello, I had to leap off a cliff and try something I had never done. It was just this thing that I wanted to do. I felt passionate about. Now I make a lot of money doing it. But my point is, how would I ever know? How would I ever know I could do it if I didn't try, right?
Hello and welcome to the Business of Happiness podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Tarryn MacCarthy. And guys, today is going to be such a good day. I have such a phenomenal powerhouse with us here today. You guys are going to die. I've been dying to get Liz Svatek here. She is a warrior woman. She is incredible. She helps and inspires women to reclaim their inner warriors, to heal and connect with one another, with themselves. And she's curated these incredible masterminds that we're going to tell you all about: connection, coaching. She speaks internationally at this point. I'm going to say, Liz, you speak on many stages. And yes, you do. And she is now the host of this incredible podcast that I have to tell you guys about. You have to check it out, called Conversations with Warrior Women. It is nationally acclaimed. She has had so many incredible women on there. You have to check it out. Please join me in welcoming the one and only Liz Svatek.
You are so amazing. Thank you for having me, Dr. Tarryn. I will never call you Tarryn again, because when I know somebody's a doctor, I'm so happy that I'm like,
no.
Dr. Tarryn in perpetuity.
Don't be fooled, my dear. Don't be fooled. However, you are a powerhouse who has just come back from Italy. So I would give up my doctor title any day to spend a month celebrating pleasure and all of life's joys in the beauty of Italy. And you did this. You're a incredible businesswoman yourself. You've got this fire podcast, you've got this coaching that you're doing, and you gave yourself a gift of taking a whole month off, literally doing the most incredible things in Italy, like creating custom sandals for yourself.
Oh, yes. That was part of my bucket list experience for sure.
I am dying to hear. We want to know all about you. But before we find out who you are and how this incredible podcast and your coaching came about, talk to me a little bit about what inspired this trip to Italy, because it's one of those things, Liz, that I think so many of us crave. We dream of these experiences. How many women I've spoken to, incredible powerhouse women who are doing amazing things, can achieve anything and dream of gallivanting across Europe like it's this passion and extraordinary dream that we never realize. We never give ourselves the opportunity to do. How did you do this? How did you receive this? Where did this come from? Tell me all the news about Italy.
Well, you're so smart, because you started with, how did you receive this, which is really what it's about. This whole take a month off thing is a paradigm shift that everybody needs to really get on board with. It's not about the money. It's not about vacation. It's about, when you work as hard as we all do, especially women in your community and men in your community who are service providers, you're providing a service. You are not just you're not just providing a service, you're caring about people, you're invested in people. That takes a lot of bandwidth and emotionality. And so taking a month off, I think, is what everybody needs and deserves. And they've been doing this in Europe, by the way, 4 years, just taking a month, and they have no shame in that game.
Nope.
Yeah. So I think the way it came about was, it was a 50th birthday trip, but of course, my 50th was in 2020, Tarryn. So it got postponed and postponed and postponed. So I went at 52, which was I still feel 50, so I'm totally fine. And we planned this trip out, and it was a dream of mine. Every time I go on vacation, I feel like it's not long enough. I feel like I'm not ready to go home yet. And I thought, you know what? I don't want to go to Italy for a week. I didn't want to go for 2 weeks. I want to go for a month, and I want to go to 4 different places, and I want to explore, and I want to have such a wealth of time that I can just wander and have my brain just be totally free to just explore and look around and be free and easy and not be scheduled. That was my dream. And we realized that dream. And one of the biggest things, though, in realizing that dream is, you have to let yourself receive it. You have to let yourself think that that is a possibility. Yes, it takes work. Of course, you have to organize. I had to organize a pet sitter for a month. Are you kidding? I had to, our air conditioning in the house stopped working while we were gone. We had to logistically deal with that in our house. I mean, there's always things that come up, right? And there's always, you get paranoid the minute you take your foot off the gas of your business, it's going to just implode and go away. I mean, there's all these mental things,
Yeah.
that come up. And I really worked on that. I really prepared myself to go and to receive this and to know that the deservency of it, to know that
Right.
I deserve to take a month off. We all do. We all deserve that as parents, as mothers, as working people. We deserve that. We deserve that brain space. And carving that out, I've now realized is not a one-time deal for me. I will be carving this out as many summers as I can.
I want to go back to what you just mentioned about if we take our foot off the accelerator of our business for a heartbeat and give ourselves permission to just recoup and allow space for new downloads, allow space for new creativity and ingenuity in our business.
Yeah.
We're so fearful that if we let go for a moment that we're going to crash to the ground. We forget that beauty in it. Tell me a little bit about that journey for you, specifically as it relates to being a business owner.
I think it's all about redefining what success is. Because if you look at Instagram, success is a private plane and a really nice car and a Louis Vuitton bag. And that is all fantastic. But if in the getting of that, if in the working towards that, I feel like hell every day and I'm
Yeah.
miserable and unhappy and I'm stressed and pressured and overwhelmed, what is the point? What is the point? Who cares if I have a plane and a car and a Louis Vuitton bag if I am unhappy and feeling so stressed that my health is in jeopardy? That's not okay. And the paradigm shift we have to get to is the success paradigm really is, how do I feel? How am I spending the hours of my day feeling? If I'm feeling good in the hours of my day, I am successful. Yes, I want the money too. Of course I want that. But I think knowing that and knowing that you can be successful and that vacationing can be a money-making activity, because what you're basically doing is you're restoring yourself. Just like you said, you are taking in new things, you're having new ideas, you're giving your brain the space and peace and ease to come up with new iterations or new ways of working. You're giving yourself a gift that no one else can give you. You have to give it to yourself.
It's so ironic because so many incredible women who dream of becoming entrepreneurs, of owning their own business, owning their own time, owning their own schedule. I mean, that's what we say when we try to launch these incredible things. And then we build these extraordinary empires that control us more than any corporate entity or boss ever could. It's one of those things that sits and plagues us, and we feel like, oh, I can't leave this business. And it's so ironic that what we're reaching for, we sometimes don't allow ourselves to receive, as you were just saying. What allowed you to receive this? Like, what needed to change for you in your mindset of your business? And I'm sure so many other limitations, limiting beliefs, but what allowed that shift for you to say, yeah, I can do this with courage?
Well, first of all, I love that you said build an empire, because you know what? The other day, Taryn, I looked that up. That word empire is not as sexy as we think it is.
Ooh,
Basically about controlling other people and controlling them over time. And it really is actually not a good word. When we talk about building something, we need to come up with another word. I haven't come up with it yet. I'm working on this and I'll let you know. But I was looking up that word and I thought, you know what? That's not what we want to say anymore. We need to shift away from building an empire to maybe it's building a community, building a life, building my passion, building my purpose, because that empire thing is literally fraught with stress.
that is
Um,
such a good point, and especially controlling us.
right.
You build something that controls you.
It controls you. It does the polar
Mhm,
opposite. So
mhm.
I think what I had to get through is a lot of fear, frankly. I mean, I had to, and also, when people said to me, "Oh, you're going to do masterminds for women?" Yes. And you're going to get paid for that? Yes, I'm going to get paid for that. Do you know what you're doing? I'm like, well, I created it so I'm going to try it. And if it doesn't work, I'm going to see how it goes. it was wildly successful. But hello, I had to leap off a cliff and try something I'd never done. It was just this thing that I wanted to do. I felt passionate about. Now I make a lot of money doing it. But my point is, how would I ever know? How would I ever know I could do it if I didn't try, right? And I also had to believe that I could take a month off in my business and that it wouldn't implode, and that maybe other people aren't doing that, but maybe that actually can be done. And the only way I'm going to know is if I try it and see. And sure enough, while I was gone, people were signing up for my programs, signing up for, and every time that money would hit my account, I thought, I've said it for years, but vacation is a money-making activity. Taking a break is a money-making activity. Taking a nap is a money-making activity. Taking that break, it almost like brings the flow back, right? It brings the money to you because you're magnetic, because you're just relaxed and you're not so stressed. So I had to get over some fears and realize I am a trailblazer. I've always been this way since I was a kid, and I am blazing the trail. And listen, I got a lot of comments on my Instagram. You saw a lot of comments like, oh my God, I can't believe you're doing this. And then a lot of, are you ever coming back?
Ooh.
Which I thought was really interesting, because that's not about me, right?
No.
That's about them. Are you ever coming back? There was a little tinge of like, never do that, right? I could never do that. Like, what are you doing? Like a little judgment in there. And then there was also a little like, gosh, if I went for a month, maybe I wouldn't come back. Right? Because when we take a break from our lives, if you're unhappy with your life and you take a month off, maybe your life is not going to look at all the same when you come back, because you're not going to want it to be the same. And I think that's the greatest fear that some people have. And I love my life and work. So I could have stayed longer, truth be told, but I was not unhappy to come back because I love what I do. So you got to think about that. Sometimes when you're taking those vacations and you go that long, your mind has long enough to say, do I really want to be doing this? Just because I'm good at it, is this really the thing I want to do? I mean, those questions come up.
If you're listening to this podcast, chances are you didn't get into business to be miserable. The problem is that people feel that if their business gets busier, if they start becoming more successful, that happiness will eventually set in. But it can actually get worse. This is why I created the Business of Happiness Prosperity Coaching. In this one-on-one coaching, we look at how to redefine success on your terms and re-find the joy and the passion in your dream. Visit me at thebizofhappiness.com and become the happiest business owner you know. Interesting. Another fear that I could read between the lines there behind that question, are you ever coming back, is I think there's a fear that if we give in to ease and flow and freedom, that we're not going to know how to create and how to build. We're going to lie down on that couch eating bonbons and never get up, which is also a ridiculous fear, especially when you have so much passion for what you do and inspiring other women. Like you said, your life is actually pretty phenomenal. There's no reason not to come back.
Well, I think it's also about how you re-enter. For a long time, oh my gosh, I would go on a trip and then kill it. I would kill any vacation vibe I had with, let me do 97 loads of laundry the minute I walk in the door. Let me schedule my week, the week I'm back, to the point where I'm going to implode. I would literally set myself up for failure and kill whatever vacation mode I had gained. I have really learned now that mentality is just a made up set of rules that I made for myself. If that suitcase does not get unpacked for 2 damn weeks, who even cares?
Yeah.
Who even cares? You have to kind of sometimes look at all these expectations you put on yourself and really ask yourself, is this really suiting me? Is this really doing anything to put this pressure, this unnecessary stress on myself? So when I come back from vacation now, I slide in. And even this podcast with you, when we scheduled it, I was like, okay, do I want to do that on that day? This will be the 3rd day I'm back or 2nd day I'm back. Yes, because I love you and I wanted to talk to you. That felt juicy and comfortable for me. But I looked at every single thing I've got going on this week and made sure that I wasn't going to overwhelm myself.
Such a good point. That's such a great point, Liz, because I think there's almost a little bit of payback we expect. Like, in order to earn this, I better crush it when I get back, especially in our businesses. Like, I don't deserve this unless I come back a phenomenally changed businesswoman who's going to hit the ground running and explode upon entry. I mean, and I think that you're exactly right. That's where we sabotage ourselves because we crush that incredible feeling we've just earned.
And we're addicted to hard.
Mm,
We're addicted to stress. Hard work hard, play hard, work harder.
mm.
No, that is not how work is supposed to be. You're not supposed to burn yourself out for your work. That's not the price that you have to pay. And so when people go away and come back, if they're in an intense work environment, they come back intense. It's like, no, no, no. The whole point of that trip was to get off the hamster wheel, not to jump back on it the minute you walk in the door.
Mhm. All right. So tell me about, were there any moments on the trip where you had some self-doubt?
Now tell me in what you mean by that. In self-doubt in what capacity?
In terms of the indulgence of this beautiful trip, like, you have such a great attitude and mindset and perspective around reaching for joy, reaching for the pleasure of it, reaching for the success of it. I mean, that's the whole point, feeling glamorous and glorious. I mean, why else would you have custom made sandals, which I loved, by the way? I just think that's so gorgeous and juicy. But was there ever a point on your trip where you thought you had that moment of doubt, like, oh, did I do the wrong thing?
It wasn't did I do the wrong thing. We had one of the hotels we stayed at, we thought was a certain price for 2 rooms, and it turned out that that price was the price of each room, which literally tripled the amount of money we were gonna spend that week. And I'm not kidding you, it took me a minute, it was like, "Ooh, you have made a big mistake." Like, "Oh my god, you should not be spending this money." But, because I have a fantastic husband who is also does work on himself, and he's an amazing mind magician as well, like I am, we talked about it for a minute. I started to go down the rabbit hole, and he was like, "No, no, no, no." He's like, "You know what? It's okay. This hotel is wonderful." And it ended up being one of the best hotels we've ever stayed at in our entire lives, and we wanna go back. So, we decided, like, "Listen, we got this far. We've been gone almost a month at that point. We're not going to let something like this derail us. This is just a story we're telling ourselves, which is like, 'Oh, this is too expensive,' and 'Oh my gosh, we shouldn't spend this money.'" It's like, you know what? It is what it is. We had to kind of let it go and move forward, and we were able to and had a wonderful time.
Wow, that's awesome. I love that story because it could have gone one of two ways
Oh,
and essentially defined your trip.
yes, it defined the trip, and it was honestly the best leg of the trip because of that, because the service, when you pay that much for a hotel, the service was incredible. I mean, everywhere we turned, they were like trying to do something for us, and it made us feel so cared for. And that was the end of our trip. So it was such a nice note to end it on, is this like having people care for you in this capacity and having this gorgeous room. At one point, my mother said, "God, I feel like a princess. This is like out of control." And here she is, she's 76, and she's been to a lot of nice places, but she even felt like the decadence of it. And it was beautiful. We really lived into it.
And what a gift to give your mom too.
Yes. Yes. And she accepted that gift, by the way, which was so nice. She accepted,
Mm.
like, "Oh, I will come on this trip. I will join you." And she thanked us a million times. It was beautiful.
And you took your kids with you too.
Yes, it was a whole family affair. We had, at one point, my sister-in-law joined us in Puglia. We had different people coming in different weeks. We saw such different parts of Italy. It was beautiful. I feel like I could plan anybody's Italy trip right now. I feel like I am so well versed. If you need me to plan your Italy trip, just contact me, everybody.
Hey, I might. There might be need to be a new mastermind, by the way.
Yeah, well, forget it. We'll go to Italy for our mastermind.
That's awesome. You know, one thing that strikes me is why we don't allow ourselves that receivership and what we have learned about it along the way. When I was just mentioning you bringing your kids, I was just wondering how this would have impacted them in their future and their idea of happiness and success. And so, what do you think that is? What is the unlearning we need to have?
Well, I think she sees her parents being happy, they see their
Mm.
parents being happy and, excited and being explorers and being receptive to different ways of doing things. We were eating dinner so much later. We were trying food we'd never tried. We were trying to speak Italian. We were using maps and trying to get around, so it was a lot of kind of having to be flexible, and also sometimes we were tired and cranky and we had to kind of, restore ourselves or get a gelato so we could keep going. So I think it was great for them to see that we both work and we both took a month off. My husband's in construction. He's a builder. I think it's revolutionary that he took the month off. I mean, I have, my own business. He has his own business, but his, is a lot of schedules and when houses are built. And I was really proud of him that he also took a month off. And I think the kids see the value of taking that much time and really letting yourself live into a place and a space. I think it really shows them how expansive you can be in your work and how you can build your work life. I've always loved entrepreneurship since I was a kid. I had my first business at 6, a clowning and magic business. And I think that they are going to catch that entrepreneurial bug themselves, seeing that, well, with this kind of flexibility, you can take a month off.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Oh my gosh. Liz, I want other people to know more about you, and that's why I brought you on the show. And I want to direct my incredible audience who's listening to this and saying, yeah, this is why I stepped into business ownership. This is why I want to reach for something greater in terms of my definition of success. How can my audience members find you so that we could follow you and learn from you?
You can follow me at liz.svatek on Instagram, or you can go to lizsvatek.com and you can sign up for a mastermind, or you can take my Limitless Warrior 12-week program. I work with amazing women. I love that we have a great community of women reclaiming their voice, their inner warrior, and really connecting to each other, which I think women really need right now in this current climate.
Absolutely. And that community and that support is something everyone's begging for. So I'm so excited about this mastermind that you're going to be launching. When does that start, this next iteration of it?
Yeah, it starts in September. I usually have 2 or 3. I have a high level one for, people who are, CEOs and running a whole shows on their own. And then they kind of all are very different. For example, Tarryn, if you said, oh, okay, Dr. Tarryn's coming, I am doing this mastermind, I would literally build the room around you. So I would interview you. I would find out what kind of experience that you have had, that you're looking to have. What are you looking to do? Where are you exploring? What are you considering? And I put women in the room that either mirror your experience. They've been where you've been. They're behind you 5 years and they want to learn from you. I want to make sure, because I meet a lot of women, and I'm sure you do too, who are incredible and they're serving and helping their communities. I want them to get something out of it. I don't want women to go in there and feel like they have to teach everybody something. So I really am very careful about who I put in the room to make sure that you get to speak something over a woman that really needs to hear it, but then also you get to hear that. You get to hear those words that you need to hear and be mentored and loved and cared for. And these women go on to be the best of friends. They're taking trips. I got a couple of them that are meeting for a weekend right now. So it's lovely to see how it's such a dance putting it together. And the first day when we're all on the Zoom together, we all get in the room. It is like Christmas for me. Like I'm dying, like knowing that you're going to meet these other 5 women that I have selected for you. I'm with tears brimming in my eyes, like the first day. And the way these women hold space for each other from day and minute one, it just brings me to my knees. It's so beautiful.
It's one of our superpowers as women that we don't take advantage of enough, is the support and encouragement and lifting each other up. It's so beautiful to see. Oh,
yes. And it's totally curated. I not only curate the people, but I curate the program. So I have different ways it can go depending on what people need to work on. I had one that was a bunch of mothers with some maybe troubling children, you would say, some children that have some extra things going on in their lives. I think a lot of kids do. And they have come together and we've learned a lot about mothering and parenting without fear, and what that really looks like, and reclaiming their own lives and knowing that their children are on their own divine journeys. And I think that's been really rewarding for me because it's a journey that I've been on too. So it was really lovely.
that's awesome. Oh, thank you for all that you do, Liz. You're amazing.
Well, you're amazing. Thank you for letting me come on the show today and chat with you. Will you come on my podcast too?
I will be there in a heartbeat, my love. Can we do it in Italy? Can we do it in Italy? Oh, sweetheart, thank you so much. I am just so excited to have you here. And I'm so grateful to you for sharing your journey with us. We had this interview scheduled before your trip, and I'm so glad we did it after because I really wanted to talk about this experience for you. And, especially because I think so many of us dream of this, but we just don't allow ourselves to do it. We're our own interrupters of realizing our dreams. And I'm just so inspired by you for doing so yourself. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me on, and I wish you all a month off.
I love it. You heard it here, my friends. Thank you to all of you for joining us here today. Follow this incredible woman. Find her podcast. It is amazing. I'll tell you again, the link will be in the show notes of this episode, but it is Conversations with Warrior Women. And if you identify as a warrior woman or dream of being a warrior woman, check her out because she's the real deal. And remember, when you feel good, that's when you can do good. Bye-bye.